Good afternoon. My name is Brandy Della-Luna, and this is my self-reflection for Task 5D. When I went through my self-scoring template and I watched my video and I saw the areas of opportunity and the areas of strength, it was really interesting to me. Um, how I had a lot more areas where I scored highly in the context and content sections versus the feedback section. I know there's fewer elements in the feedback section, but even percentile wise. So when I went through this, just to talk about some areas of opportunity and strengths in each section. For feedback, I feel like my main area of opportunity is celebrating the success. So, students, I'll say to them, good job. I'll say exactly something similar to that. Great work, something. But I really need to be more specific and intentional in my feedback. So that's an area of growth possibility. Even when we're doing an activity like the one that I was doing in the classroom that day, I could be very specific. And some way to do that would be maybe to show them a rubric ahead of time, show them exactly what I'm looking for, and then I can give that specific feedback. Um, One of the parts in the feedback category that I am very strong on is informal assessments of the whole class. So many times we will be working on something in class and I'll just want to get a quick pulse. I'll ask them to, do thumbs up, thumbs to the side, thumbs down, or how's their weather? Are they feeling sunny or cloudy? And I did check for understanding in the video a couple times. And I do that on a very frequent basis. So it's something I feel very strong with. Some of the other things, like a formal assessment, that wasn't what I was doing that day. But also just seeing during the numbered heads together how they were responding, what groups were responding on the mini whiteboards, and um, showing their thinking there. That's a helpful way to get a pulse of the classroom as an informal assessment. In the content category, I scored myself relatively high for helping students practice skills and processes. I did have a strategy, a specific strategies I was trying that day. So I went through think, pair, share for the processing, the numbered heads together where they're working together to process and to answer questions. And there was an exit activity as well. I did later on, but I feel like I'm pretty solid at picking some strategies where they're able to process the content. That I was able to do really well with that. I have them interact frequently, like that. I love cooperative learning, so that's something I'm really good with. Obviously, another one that I had rated myself pretty high is organizing students to interact. I feel like the teams that I made ahead of time were good. I had everybody numbered, everybody knew what they were contributing to the team. So I feel like I was successful in that. And of course, the whole point of this was to examine errors in reasoning, to examine common errors, things that can happen frequently, and what was going on in the problem. So they were all solved wrong. So the students had to figure out what the mistake was and then fix it, explain the mistake. So that entire thing was designed for them to reflect on errors in their own and others' reasoning. So that was strong. In the content area, something that I feel like I can work on would be more cognitively complex tasks. That's something that I did employ with that, but I could have taken it a step further. I could have increased the rigor a little bit in this particular assignment. I could have asked some follow up questions that would have increased the rigor or asked them to, think about the errors in a new way. So that's a place where I could really do a little bit more, I think, especially for an algebra honors class like I do have. In the context category, I gave myself several fours. I feel like in order to do a task like the one that I had did in the video, the numbered heads together, I think pair shared, that you have to have a pretty good uh, pulse in your classroom, with a pretty good handle on it, pretty set expectations. So my students know my expectations, they know my rules and procedures, and they were able to execute my expectations and meet them there. I feel like I'm very, hype about math. I love math, and they can tell that I'm enthusiastic about it. I think that shows when I'm teaching, so I feel good about that. I'm managing response rates. I was looking around, seeing who was participating, who wasn't participating. Um, and something I would normally do. Everybody was pretty much participating that day. They had seen the cameras, so they were like, they're a really good class, so they were trying their best. But just prompting students that aren't participating. That's something I do usually because I'm very. I will hone in on when students are engaged or not, when they are working and doing their best, or when they're just kind of going with it, but not putting forth their best effort. But I feel like you have to be with it, and you have to have good expectations in order to have cooperative learning exercises that are effective. So those are some things in context. Using the engagement strategies and making sure the rules and procedures are followed is something I'm very strong with. Where I might have a little opportunity is consequences for lack of adherence. At the end of the video, I did have a student that was talking while I was talking, and I had already spoken to her before, and I was just end up saying her name and no and giving her a look. But I think if I would have, gone over and talked to her and said, if she continued this behavior, that there would be a consequence, that might have been helpful. Um, I'm trying to think anything else. I mean, I always have a lot of opportunities to grow, and when I was watching, I was very cognizant of the things that I could improve on. It is very hard to watch yourself on a video, but I feel like overall that it was a really good activity for what I wanted the students to do, which was to pick up on those misconceptions so that they wouldn't repeat them in their own work. And then, of course, I have a good relationship with my students, and that's something I do value. Is one of my strengths. I like to engage them with the humor. I made the 6-7 comics. I know that's something that was trending to try to get them to make attention and see, that I'm wanting to relate to them as well. But of course, I did rate myself as for students' interests and backgrounds as a 3, because that's always something that I feel like I could get to know them a little better or try to incorporate that more into my classroom. I really liked reflecting on this video and watching myself do it and going through the scoring template and seeing where I have some areas of opportunity. Really help that when I'm trying this again, I know what things I could do to improve this overall. So thank you, and I appreciate it.